Let's see. Sorry, didn't realize we were already hit the streaming button and we're just kind of getting things set up in between. But here we are. This is a coloring page I'm working on here, and I was just looking at him like, okay, she's a vampire. She's a little bit too dark. So I figured I'd do brown hair on her. And she just still doesn't look much vampire-ish. So I figured I would probably play around with a few adaptations to try to make her a little bit less tan for a vampire. So, we got some scratch paper, and I'll show you what markers and stuff that I use. This is, I have everything swatched. So usually I know which color I'm using, but you know, some of my markers I tend to just like grab randomly. This will work, and just use it, and then realize, huh, the skin color doesn't quite work out for what I'm looking for. So let me just roll with it or see if I can make it better, hopefully not make it worse. So that's what I was kind of gonna do today, is to show you what I've got going on here. I'm gonna take this off my clipboard. Clipboard is a plain old plastic one, but I have a little button on the back that I like to use to, hold on to it in my hand. It's kind of nice in regards to, if you're gonna hold it on into your lap, and you don't have to hold onto the big old edge and have your fingers on the paper and leaving oil and whatnot. So I'm just put that off to the side for now. And I've got myself a piece of scratch paper here. I'm trying to leave this in view so we can kind of see what we're working with here. So I'll show you which markers I used. So I got this Spectrum Noir Classic bullet tip chisel nib, and it's a eggshell FS8 is what that one is. So it is a little bit dark, but I do use this for a lot of my colors. So I like this one particularly. But when you lay it down, it does look much darker. I'm going to do another swatch here for another test since I have it out. And it doesn't dry too much lighter than what it is. It dries a little bit lighter, but not too much. So that's the thing with some markers. That's why you want to color swatch, because if the caps show different colors in regards to it. The cap a lot of times show that it's a little bit lighter than the actual color. The color is actually darker than the cap, or completely different. So color swatching is key. So we're just gonna let that dry for a minute, and then I tried with sometimes blending. When you're working with alcohol markers, you want to work fast. I feel like you have to work fast to be able to get a smooth color fill on it. Juicier markers that have more ink in them tend to cover a lot better than the ones that have been used for a little bit, or been or almost dried out. Obviously those ones do not blend very well. You'd either have to go over it, and at some point it's just going to be pointless because it's just going to stay streaky until you either come in with another marker that is similar in color to smooth it out, or use a colorless blender. Sometimes that helps smooth it out, but you'd be going through a lot of ink that way too, of course. But the other thing I went over with these ones is I used a Copic Sketch E11 on this one, burgundy beige. So I went over on her face to smooth it out with this marker to hoping that it might also kind of lighten the color up or adjust the hue a little bit. You can kind of see it is a little bit different, but it's actually a little bit darker instead of what I was anticipating. This one, again, with the coloring on that, you can kind of tell that it's a lot different than what the actual cap will show. Fill this one in too. And let that dry for a minute. So it did help smooth. I did have a nice little line right here by our cheek earlier before I used the Copic over the top to smooth out that line. So what I'm gonna do, give this a moment to dry, because alcohol markers really does not take long to dry, and that's why when I say when you're working with alcohol markers, work quickly with them. So if you're going to fill a large space, you want to work your way around the area to be able to kind of keep the liquid wet or moist. Sometimes when I've got a face, for example, and going around the mouth or whatever, or eyes, you can still kind of create a line unintentionally. So if you're gonna go this way on a face, go right to left. If you're gonna go right to left or left to right on a face, start somewheres, and then if you have to skip over a spot, so let's say a covered part of the eye, and then you're going to do down here for a bit, every once in a while go up here and re-wet and extend some of this out, and then come back down, re-wet, and then as you're working across, you'll get a pretty even blend. You still may end up with a line or two if you're not cautious enough, but that's what I usually do. Is if I'm going to skip over a space, I go back up and re-wet the area so it stays moist for a bit, so when I come back I can try to mitigate any lines that I get when I'm coloring with alcohol markers. But of course wetter markers do actually help out, so you don't have to do it quite as much. Markers that have been used for a bit obviously are a lot drier and will have more tendency to streak. So you sometimes it's unavoidable. Sometimes if you have too wet of a marker, it will bleed over into other sections that you don't want it to go to. So that's the one thing you have to watch out for alcohol markers. But now that this is dried, I am going to open up my color pencil book that I have here. I've got a bunch of different color pencils, watercolors, ink pens, and all that in this here. Get this opened up. Move this off to the side for now. So this, I'm gonna move my camera up a little bit better view for you. So this here, couple different color pencils. My swatches for this page is right here, so I can see exactly what I'm working with. This is like a generic pencil. Well, Joseph Marmot, I don't know, I'm not familiar with that brand, but these did not come with colors or didn't come with any labeling on them as far as color names or color number system like Copic and all the other markers and colored pencils and stuff tend to do. They have a numbering and naming system. You can even look here at King Art. I don't know if the glare makes a difference, but this King Art Sea Green 127, kind of see it a little bit here. Still kind of blurry, but sorry, focus isn't working right now. But these pencils didn't have anything labeled on them as far as like their names and stuff. So what I ended up doing is I just grabbed an X-Acto knife and I numbered them in Roman numerals. 1, 2, 24, I believe there was in this set here. So, and then just put them in on this color swatch here. And the same thing with my other ones. They had their own names on them, so obviously I didn't have to name them myself. And So that's all that's in this one. These ones here, Derwent Metallic, are actually water pencils, and you can tell by the paintbrush that's listed on them. But yeah, I do have some colored pencils, some chalk pastels and stuff here. But what I was thinking of using today is with this, using my skin tones, colored pencils in regards to this. These are also other watercolor pencils that I've got available. These ones are really nice. They're kind of not really a generic, but they're a cost-effective colored pencils. These are Art in Fly colored pencils here. Really nice, waxy, oily type of color pencil. Very smooth to play with. So, and these are the swatches for this one right here. And I don't know if you can tell. I mean, yes, there's some graininess to the colored pencils, but it wasn't like I was sitting there trying to really scrub that pencil onto the paper to get that swatch. It was actually semi-firm pressure, and I was able to still get quite a bit of pigment onto the paper. So I do like these Art and Fly color pencils. This one is a 36 set, I do believe. And they also have larger sets of stuff, but the 36 actually has a pretty decent color range. Do have some skin tone like colors in here. So I could use some of them to try to help fix her face, but I don't think any of them are technically light enough to try to brighten up her face, so I'm going to skip those today. These are my Inktense pencils. I don't have a big set, of course, but I would love to get the Inktense blocks and play a little bit more with Inktense, because what little bit I've used with these ones, I've had quite a bit of fun. So these are Gold Fiber Aqua colored pencils here. Set of 12 here for you. And those ones are good and fun to use. I don't have a color swatch on that. I did have one, but it's missing, so I'll just have to add it to this one later. But these are the Inktense color swatch here. So another good reason why to color swatch a lot of your colors is, I mean, this green here is a lot brighter than the actual paint, to give you an example. Same thing with this blue. I mean, you could make it to get that dark of a blue for your paint swatch, but I think it would take quite a bit of work and layering. But yeah, color swatching, huge thing, and that's why we ended up with a darker face than what we anticipated with the girl from Jade Summers' coloring page that I'm currently working on. So that's another reason why you color swatches, just to try to match. And on this side here, these ones are my Crayola color pencils. Kind of crazy to use Crayola, I think, but for what they're worth, I think this is a good starting point. Nothing wrong with starting with student grade or generic quality or anything like that, especially if you're going to be using it to practice, test, and explore. But as you can see, this one has quite a array of colors on here. When I was organizing these ones, I tried to go from the darkest to the lightest, just to kind of have a decent variation in regards to it, and I think I did pretty good getting them. I mean, there may have been a few of them right here, maybe a different swatch, or I could have categorized a little bit different, especially on this side of things, making it where the pinks were in one bracket and then the light browns and stuff were in another bracket. But it works. At least I've got my color swatch. I can see which ones I'm looking for. So, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab some of these and use them to try to get those swatches in a lighter colored sequence here to maybe make her look more like she should be for a vampire kind of girl. So we'll see how that works. I'm going to set this off to the side and grab my scratch paper again and my girl. If anyone's curious as far as like which coloring book this comes from, this is my binder that I use, but yeah, it's Chibi Horror Grayscale from Jade Summer, and one of these in this book here. What I do is I'll buy her books either digitally or their books. I'll either buy them digitally or actually get the full book, and when I get the full book I will cut the binding off and put them in here in these clean sleeves to view them later, pull them out, just because I am left-handed, and being left-handed, having a crease or binding on my left hand can be challenging to work with, and it can also hurt after a while, so it's just easier, less pain, less comfort, or less discomfort, just by doing this, taking them out or just printing them up. But here's a few I've already done. Not too much detail in them. A glitter gel pen, and just some markers, or even water-based. I think a lot of this was just marker. And the halo around her, I have like a white pen that actually you put it on and you can't see it right away, but as it dries it gets to be a haze, so it's kind of fun to use that one, but it's also a bit of a challenge to know like where did you put it, do you want to go back over it again after it dries, it's got a bit of a learning curve to that one, but it does add a nice little effect around the outside of this one. Here's another one that I've done. This one has some water-based markers to it and some alcohol markers. This is when I used like an alcohol marker for the skin, and then water-based for a lot of the others, and then some, like the smoke and stuff. I don't know if you can really see it. Excuse me. But I actually like using this pencil. Excuse me. Going with it in with a pencil, and nothing fancy for a pencil. I mean, there's a couple of different options that I've got available in my little kit here. So I've got this one. It's a Prismacolor Ebony Extra Smooth Jet Black pencil. So I'll go in here with this pencil, or I'll even use this pencil. Just a regular 2B lead, nothing fancy. This monograph pencil. I really like this one. Just give it a shake and there's your lead. I go in there and then shade it where I want it to some degree. And then once that's done, you use just a blending stump or whatever works. I personally hate using blending stumps. The sound it creates just racks my nerves. But that's what I like, is just using something alternate to blend these versus something that's going to grind my teeth and just get my nerves just pinching. So, what we're gonna do here. Let's see. We're gonna sit here and excuse me. I'll use this. This is actually for clay, nothing fancy, but I just go in with this and blend it out, and it just kind of helps push that lead around quite a bit. It's actually pretty nice in regards to how all that works on pushing and blending and fading. And go back in there, just kind of work that lead in. The soft ebony pencil really helps smooth that blend out. It makes it easier to smooth it because the type of lead it is. And I'm not blending with my finger, leaving oil on the paper and stuff like that. And I put a lot of lead on here, but it really blends out quite a bit. If you're looking at it. So I mean, how far out I've gone so far in regards to pushing that lead out to blend and smooth. And this one will do the same thing. With the regular pencil, 2B pencil, it'll still leave your lines on there depending on how you blend in there. But if you work it enough, you can get those lines to dissipate. So I mean, you don't obviously want to press hard when you're using a 2B pencil because you'll end up with the lines. I don't know if you can see on this one. Let me just see if I can get it closer. There's a line right there in the middle of that pencil spot. Camera doesn't want to blend. Okay. But there's a line kind of right there. So, but that's what I like to use to blend out my pencils. Do a rough blend with it, or do a different type of pencil to make these look a little bit more streaky, more liney, more grainy. But yeah, that's what I do for a lot of the shadows that I feel that a marker blend isn't going to do it justify enough. But yeah, this is where this page came from. Was from the Chibi horror from Jade Summer. Okay, so what I wanted to try to see if we could take her skin and make it a little bit lighter. So we got this very light almond, and on here you can barely see it, but it is swatched on there. So I'm going to see what this would do is if I was to take and do a fade from light to dark on this color swatch and see what would happen with this very light almond with Crayola. So just very lightly starting to push down quite hard on the edge here. So that looks good. I'm going to go to light golden next. So it's a little bit darker, but a lot lighter than we had. So light golden is right here. So I'm gonna go from here and blend it over here a little bit. Okay, that worked good. Grab this one back out again. And see if I can blend it over. So as you can tell, it's a lot lighter on the page here by just going over with these two colors. So I think that's what I will do with her, is go over them, go over with her face with these two colors to try to brighten her up a little bit in comparison to the dark contrast that this color swatch is at. So we move this out of the way. Bring her back in here. So right now we've got the, I don't know if you can notice, but this pencil actually has got a little bit of curve in it. So we'll go in here and we'll try to go in with the highlight area. So like the tip of the nose. Blend that in a little bit. And the cheek area here. Kind of pop that out a bit more. And here, we're going to do a little bit on the eye. Wherever, because this is a grayscale, so it does kind of help you determine where the highlights and lowlights are at. So I think that's going to be a good start. And I'm going to take this and kind of blend it out a little bit into the rest of the face. So that already has given a little bit of contrast. I'm not sure if you can tell a whole lot to it in comparison, but I know I can tell a lot more that it brings parts of her face more forward. It definitely brings it in where it's less flat and less so dark for vampire. Let me do this. There's another color I wanted to try. Let me see if I can find the light medium almond areas. So I'm going to try and use this to blend it out in the other areas a little bit here. Starting to look a little bit smoother. Definitely looking a lot less tan. And I want to get it a little bit darker with these. Yeah, this is what I want. These shadow areas, because I mean, even though she's a vampire, there's still going to be shadows and creating highlights and depth. Kind of bring back in some of this grayscale coloring that they did. I didn't touch much on this with the colored pencils. But yeah, she looks a lot less dark than what she originally did. So that's what she was originally looking like, and now with just a simple layer of color pencil, she's really brightened up and popped out of the page a little bit better. So that's nice thing about going over with color pencils, even if it's just ever so lightly. Then you can go in and color fix and blend and get things a little bit smoother, which is pretty nice. And so then you're not like, oh great, I ruined the page. I can go back and I gotta print over, go buy a new book to get my colors right, or just have to suffer with the color errors happening here. But no, much better from that to that. Looks much better for a vampire here. For the rest of her skin here, I did it in the same way with the exception of going over with the Copic. I only went the Copic on her face to smooth it out because I had a line right in this area here. So that area here, I feel that it's fine. I don't have to worry about it. So, and this is actually the Copic without having it layered. So, I mean, it is lighter than the original color that I used, but adding this on top of the other one made it a lot darker. So, I mean, you can't really tell the difference between the Copic here and the Spectrum Noir here. It looks a little bit more pinkish red over here versus the Copic is more of a brown bluish hue to it, or grayish hue. So yeah, it's a definitely different tonnage in regards to what's going on here with the two different colors. Excuse me. So just something to think on. And this was just going to be a short little stream today, just kind of messing around. So hope you enjoyed. Hope this came across. If not, we'll just keep trying. I'm just starting off streaming, so a lot of this is just practice. And when you know what they say, practice makes perfect. Same thing with coloring. You're gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna make mistakes. You just find ways to make it better, and that's exactly what we did here, just by adding a lighter color to her face. Let me just do this in comparison. I mean, that's a huge difference right there. Now color pencil is a little bit shiny, so kind of getting some glare off the light from it, but I mean, that's a huge difference. Just by adding a little bit of color pencil on it. So, but thanks for joining me. You have a great day and be safe.